Welcome to Don Bosco in a Year podcast.
Day 81. Don Bosco as Spiritual Guide for the Young. Rules for Christian Living for the Young from the Regulations for the Houses of the Salesian Society on Modesty. By modesty, we mean a decent and controlled way of speaking, moving, and walking. This virtue, boys, is one of the most beautiful adornments of your age, and ought to be evident in your every action, in everything you say. Your body and clothing should be clean, your demeanor serene and cheerful, without moving your shoulders or body about, unless honestly necessary. I recommend modesty of eyes, the windows through which the devil brings sin into heart. Walk in a moderate way, not in too much of a hurry, unless there is a need to do otherwise. When your hands are not busy, keep them down, and at night, cross them upon your breast in as much as you can. Never lay your hands on others, and never play with your hands on someone else, nor walk hand in hand or put your arms around your friend's shoulders, as people do sometimes in square. Be modest when you speak. Never use expressions that offend against charity or decency. In your state and at your age, it is better to be quiet and modest than to foster boisterous and talkative discussion. Do not criticize the actions of others or boast of your merits or virtues. Accept blame and praise equally, and be humble before God when you have been chided over something. Avoid every action, movement, or word of a boorish nature, and do your best to overcome faults of temperament, and try to develop a meek and constantly controlled approach, following the principles of Christian modesty. Your way of behaving at table is also part of modesty. Given that food is given to us, not as if to animals just to satisfy hunger, but to keep the body healthy and vigorous as a material means of achieving happiness of soul. Say grace before and after meals, and while you are eating, also try to feed the spirit by listening in silence to the little bit of reading that is done. You should eat or drink only the things that are provided by the establishment. Anyone who receives fruit, eatables, or drinks of any kind should give them to the superior, who will see that they are made available in a moderate way. It is warmly recommended that you never waste even the smallest amount of soup, bread, or the second course. Let us not forget the example of our Savior, who commanded his apostles to pick up the leftover pieces of bread so that they would not be wasted. 3 evils to be avoided at all cost. Although everyone should avoid any kind of sin, nevertheless there are 3 evils that you must especially avoid, since they are particularly harmful for the young. They are blasphemy and taking the holy name of God in vain, dishonesty, and stealing. Believe me, my children, by keeping these evils as far from us, we have well-founded reasons for hoping for heaven's blessings upon us and our entire community. Whoever observes these rules will be blessed by the Lord. Every Sunday evening or on another day of the week, the prefect or whoever takes his place will read some of the articles of this rule with a brief moral reflection on them. Associations and spiritual friendships. Aware of the fruitful experiences he had had as a young person, like the cheerful society, he encourages the organization of religious sodalities and free associations of friends amongst boys in the festive oratory and in pupils in the houses. These are clearly aimed at formation and apostolate, which encourage a holistic Christian style of living, which encourages virtue and aims at acting as a leaven in the youthful community. The best Salesian vocations were forged in these spiritual circles. The St. Aloysius Gonzaga Sodality, founded at the Oratory at Valdoco, 12 April 1847 is a witness to the transition to a more systematic approach to formation for poor and abandoned boys, aimed at encouraging piety though something stable and uniform, inviting members to give good example in church and out of church, avoid bad talk, and frequent the holy sacraments. The Immaculate Conception Sodality, which came about through the initiative of Dominic Savio and his friends in June 1856, is a further development of Don Bosco's spiritual program aimed at offering young students ways to youthful holiness and nurturing vocations to apostolic and religious life. An ever clearer awareness of the centrality of the Eucharist would lead to setting up the Blessed Sacrament Sodality 1858. Other associations would come to in being later, like the St. Joseph Sodality 1859, aimed at nurturing the spiritual life of young trade students and young workers and fostering lay salesian vocations.
Thank you for joining us today on this journey to know Don Bosco. May these reflections deepen our faith, guide us closer to God each day, and hope to see you all tomorrow. Till then, keep seeking, keep praying, keep growing.